Week 1 is officially upon us, and so is Special Edition from the Star in Frisco alongside 3 former Cowboys, Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Ecstatic to bring you a game week episode of Special Edition as the Cowboys get ready to face the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football this week. And gentlemen, it's really another NFC East matchup, as any would be. Lots of undecideds going into the season, but I want to start with what you're most confident in. Which position group are you most confident in going into this Week 1 matchup?
Well, I'm going to go in the secondary, and just to be specific, I'm going to go with the cornerback room. I mean, you got Trayvon Diggs, you got Stephon Gilmore on the outside, 2 technically sound corners out there that can lock guys down on the perimeter. You don't have to worry about the outside when you got those 2. I'm extremely confident in the cornerback room.
Well, since you're going to the DBs, I'm going to go to the guys that go against the DBs, and that is the wide receiver room. You talk about bringing your man C.D. Lamb back. You're talking about having Michael Gallup back with the juice ready to roll. And then you add a Brandon Cook, 6 times 1,000-yard receiver to this offense. These guys are fast. These guys are wicked. And then with this new offense, these guys are going to be explosive.
I'm telling you, I'm going with the defensive line, man, because I think Jonathan Hankins in a full year up under DQ's system is going to be great. And Osa had a great camp. This dude is poised and ready to rock and roll.
That defensive line ready to pin their ears back and get after Daniel Jones in this Giants offense. But notice how none of you guys said the offensive line. I think that's probably the one question mark on this Cowboys roster. And let's start with one of those really sure things up front, and that's Terrence Steele. Signs a 5-year extension, $86 million. Has a chance to get upwards of $90 million based off of the incentives and the non-guaranteed money. He's got $50 guaranteed, though, in the contract. The right tackle of the future for the Cowboys has been locked up, and it's good to see that he's earned what he's really earned in terms of the cash.
And shout out to his front office for continuing to secure the key elements of this team. Terrence Steele, congratulations. You have all the respect from me going all the way back to camp when you were protecting your QB1 from Randy Gregory and them Denver Broncos in practice.
You know, I'm loving this kid. You know, free agent, Church, free
yes,
agent.
Sir. Yes,
Get
sir.
your bag, baby. But you are a great player, man. That not so much a great player, but I'm saying the way he worked and got himself into a position to become a great player through his hard work and dedication. He got his money.
Yeah, coming off of a big injury, too, he needs to play some more in order to take that title of great player. Here's what Terrence Steele had to say about the new deal in the bag that he secured this week.
You know, first off, man, it's a blessing just to even be here, be able to compete the way I am. And it's just a testament to the work I put in. Just all the support from my family, friends, my locker mates, my coaches. It was a group effort, and it all worked out, so I'm happy.
Terrence Steele very happy, of course, with the new deal and a 5-year extension to stay in Dallas. Let's talk about one of his offensive line counterparts, though. Tyler Smith, a little banged up earlier this week. Tuesday practice, he left with a hamstring injury. Really, he had an MRI. It was negative. Things looking positive going into the week, but really unsure from Mike McCarthy's side of things. Barry, how big of a loss would that be if the Cowboys do not have their 2022 first-round pick available on Sunday?
This is very worrisome for me if you're the Dallas Cowboys, because even if he's able to play, I don't believe he'll be at 100% out there. And you're dealing with 2 dogs on the interior line for the New York Giants. When you talk about Dexter Lawrence and you talk about Leonard Williams, those guys are game changers when it comes to stopping the ground attack. So for me, if you're missing Tyler Smith, this should be very worrisome for the Cowboys offense.
It will, but I think we can overcome it. You know, and you forgot about Ashawn Robinson. They added him, so it's going to be a beast up in there. But I think they're ready to play and ready to perform.
There's a blitz percentage metric that NFL teams look at. The Giants were in the top 5 on almost every single game last year in terms of that blitz segment and the blitz metric all the way across the board. But when we come back, we talk about the offensive side for the Giants. How different will they look now that they have a new weapon in Darren Waller at the tight end position? How can the Cowboys defense combat Big Waller?
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan.
Back here on Special Edition, 7:20 kickoff on Sunday night. The Cowboys and the Giants do battle from MetLife Stadium up there in New York. Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. And let's start by talking about Saquon Barkley, because that's really where it begins with Brian Daboll and the New York Giants overall. Isaiah, for the most part, Saquon continues to get healthy. He was well rested last year and he looked good, but the Cowboys actually were one of the few teams that bottled him up. How can they do that again?
They just have to continue to do what they did last year. That means take away his running lanes. In the running game, get back there early, get some internal pressure, and then restrict his running lanes from the outside. Just really constrict that hole. And then in the passing game, get your hands on him early. Don't let him get free releases, disrupt his ability to get out on his routes.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley he's the ultimate cheat code out there. He can make you miss in the phone booth, and he's a great receiver out of the backfield. And like you said, Kyle, he's really the engine that gets this New York Giants offense rolling. But this is why Dallas went out and got athletic linebackers like a Damone Clark, hybrid safeties like a J-Ron Kearse out there to handle guys like Barkley coming out of the backfield. But I'll tell you this, if they don't bottle this guy up, it's going to be a long afternoon for the Dallas Cowboys defense.
And that's why I said defensive line going to play a key part. They have to take their man, put it in the gap, and stay in the other gap. You take away all gaps and make him go run horizontal to the line, you got it.
So along those same lines, Nate, with the defensive line, it's not just Barkley they have to worry about, because now Daniel Jones poses a threat on the ground. Last year he set career highs in rushing yards, yards per attempt, passing yards, completion percentage. It really, you name it, it was a career year for Daniel Jones. How big is alignment and assignment for that defensive front to do their jobs correctly?
It's everything. And like I say, if you have a chance to eat up 2 blocks, you got to eat up 2 blocks. But other than that, right there, you got to 2-gap your guy. You got to put him in the hole and set him in. And you defensive ends, you have to read for that option run off of Daniel Jones. You have to be able to read that. So be slow to go. Don't be fast to fall in on Barkley.
Yeah, I'm going to start having to put a little bit more respect on Daniel Jones' name out here. I mean, I'm not saying he's Dak Prescott or Patrick Mahomes, but this guy is no longer the walking turnover that he once was. Brian Daboll has gotten the most out of Daniel Jones, and last year he only had 7 total turnovers for the entire season. So the Dallas Cowboys, they've got to find a way to bottle this guy up and do not let him get started on the ground, because that's when New York is at their best.
Danny Dimes he's improved upon his decision making, and he's utilized his legs to improve upon that decision making. If the ball is not there to be thrown, he is going to utilize his legs. You can see that they trust it in his legs as well, his ability to cross the line of scrimmage and create some first downs, because they're running zone read as a running game. Okay, so they're going to give the option for Barkley to have it, or for him to get outside the defensive end and get some positive yardage. Either way, you have to stay on your keys.
So Daniel Jones has improved, but have the Giants improved the weapons around Daniel Jones enough for you to be really concerned with the passing game? By adding a guy like Darren Waller, of course, drafting high as well with Jalen Hyatt, do they add enough to make something happen in the air?
I think they have. I think they have created enough weapons that you have to be concerned about. Over the past year or two, there was only one guy that you really had to key in on. Now all of a sudden you throw Waller in there, one of the most dynamic tight ends in the league, and you obviously now at the safety position, you really have to have your head on the swivel.
Let me understand this right here. I think we had the corners inside and out to handle their wide receiver. Who will we get onto Darren Waller? Darren Waller has been hurt the last few years, coming off injuries. But this guy, before that, 2 years ago, he was a 1,000-yard receiver. He is a beast. We're going to have to focus in on him, because that is where, if this kid, Jones, grow, this is where he'll grow at, through Darren Waller.
Yeah, and Darren Waller has burned the Cowboys in the past, and so have other big tight ends whenever they don't have those pieces defensively. Now, speaking of defense, the Giants' defense has a front 7 that is absolutely nasty. Dexter Lawrence and company are coming after Dak Prescott and the Cowboys' offense. How big of a challenge are they going to be, Barry?
It's going to be a huge challenge, and I hope this offensive line is ready, because Coach Martindale is going to throw everything he has at this offensive line. He's going to have pressures from nickel. He's going to have pressures from the second level with linebackers and from safeties as well. It doesn't matter. He's going to throw everything he has at this offensive line early and often to see if they can hold up and protect for Dak Prescott the entire game.
Yeah, protection is going to be a problem, but also you have to be concerned now if their left guard isn't there and Tyler Smith, you have the strength of their defenses in their interior defensive line. You have your head, you got some things to worry about.
Yeah, the Giants have continued to build. They even traded a 7th-round pick for Isaiah Simmons to be at that second level too. They're coming from the front 7 standpoint. It's whether or not the Cowboys will be ready up front. That might be one of the questions that Nick Eatman has for Stephen Jones, because when we come back, the Cowboys COO sits down with Special Edition. We go one-on-one with the Cowboys front office.
This segment was brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan. This segment is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
Welcome back into Special Edition from the Star in Frisco. Let's go ahead and turn things over to Nick Eatman, who's sitting down with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? I'm Nick Eatman here with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. And if there's a little bit of excitement in the air, it's because it's football season, exactly week 1 now. It's time. I know you're ready to go and get this season finally kicked off.
Well, we're fired up. Obviously, it's been a great preseason, really getting to watch a lot of our young players compete week in and week out. I think we've developed a lot of guys here during this training camp and preseason. But you're right. It's time to see the big guys go to work who haven't had much action. And in particular, it'll be fun to see this offense. Yeah. And I think Mike's knocked all the rust off his play calling sheets, and he's all ready to go. But certainly it'll be exciting to see the offense go, and be great to see those guys get to work.
Now, injury-wise, you did have a little bit of a setback earlier this week. A couple of guys banged up, including Tyler Smith. Is there any update you can give us on where his status might be heading into the game?
Well, certainly a question mark, and that's part of our game. It's certainly fragile. You look around the league and you see a player like Kelsey going down in a walkthrough type practice, getting ready for their first game. But this stuff happens, and that's why you have 53 players plus 16 on a practice squad. We should hopefully have done a good job with our depth. This will give Chuma Adoba a chance to really step up. A guy like Abbas got a lot of reps this week too. If for some reason they're called upon, which very well could be the case with Tyler having an injury.
This is the first time that we've talked to you since you've made a couple of trades, including one for Trey Lance. Kind of walk us through that and what mindset there, and what are you hoping to get out of him even this year?
We think Trey Lance upgrades that room. We have nothing but respect for Will Greer, but certainly when Trey came out, we had a first-round grade on him, and just felt like that was a great opportunity to upgrade the quarterback room, and the same thing for Noah. For him to come in here, Dan really felt like he would upgrade the outside corner position, and felt like we could use help there. So to get 2 guys like that, we felt like it made a lot of sense. Certainly respect Kelvin Joseph as well, especially what he was doing on special teams for us. But feel like we got the guys who can step up and do the job.
Thank you very much, Nick. You can catch the entire interview with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones on DallasCowboys.com, brought to you by Reliant. And when we come back on Special Edition, we take a deep look into the Giants' offense. How can they slow down Saquon Barkley and company? We take to the film room with Isaiah when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
It's time for the best part of the show. It's time to take a look at the film study as the Cowboys get ready to face the Giants on Sunday Night Football. 7:20 kickoff this Sunday night on NBC. We're with Super Bowl champion Isaiah Stanback. He's also an Emmy Award-winning analyst, and we're going to break down what the Cowboys defense can do against Daniel Jones to try and limit his dual attack, both on the ground and through the air. Let's start through the air. Daniel Jones, one of the more efficient passers within 10 yards in the NFL. How does Dallas disrupt a little bit of that momentum?
Yeah, well, first of all, you need to be able to identify his number one threat, and that is going to be the man and the legend, Saquon Barkley, okay? I don't care who you're cheering for. You know that this guy right here is absolutely dangerous, and one of the ways that you can stop him by getting out into routes is by simply getting your hands on him. If you don't want the ball in his hands, then don't let the ball get to him, okay? Right here on this particular play last year against Dallas versus the Giants, all right, I want you guys to pay attention to a couple things, okay? There's a gentleman by the name of Damone Clark that you have to lock in on. The reason why I want you to lock in on Damone Clark is because he is solely responsible for making sure that he is on man-to-man with Saquon Barkley. But he's not the only man that plays a part in this. There's a man by the name of DeMarcus Lawrence right here. D-Law right here is going to help out Mr. D. Clark by getting his hands on Saquon Barkley and not allowing him to get out the backfield. Let's go ahead and run through it. Again, the highlight right here is on Saquon, As he comes out, you guys see him coming into play action. Pause it right there. Right off the bat, he is trying to find his way out into the flat route. He wants to be the first option for Daniel Jones so that he can get the ball into his hands. But who did I say has man-to-man? Damone Clark. Who can help out Damone Clark? Right here, D-Law. Watch what D-Law does by getting his hands on Saquon Barkley. Get a little bit of a grab. He's within 5 yards, so it works. He disrupts his ability to get outside of Damone Clark. By doing that, now all of a sudden, Danny Dimes has to come off of that read. He's looking down the field, and you allow yourself to now let the rest of your friends come so that you can make a play. That's how you can disrupt Saquon Barkley, by getting out in the routes. Get your hands on him, you guys. Don't let him get outflanking. Don't let him outflank your guys. Get the ball in his hands and then be that dynamic runner that we know he's capable of being.
And especially with an RPO, the run-pass option, there are so many options for Daniel Jones at quarterback. If you're disrupting the timing, that's really what the whole RPO style of offense is based off of. That's all D-Law did there, was just turn around Barkley a little bit and keep things rolling. Now, how else can you disrupt it? Because that was setting the edge. Can you do it from the interior?
Absolutely. And you have to, how do you stop Saquon Barkley from being able to get going on the ground game? Well, Daniel Dimes is going to go back there and hand the ball off to him. Now what do? Do you allow for him to cross the line of scrimmage, or do you try to disrupt him in the backfield? I want you guys to take your attention to the man right here. Neville Gallimore was a complete dog on this play. He does a great job of getting vertical. And I'm going to break a couple things down for you guys. He is able to get in between here, and what he causes is two linemen to come up, and he takes away two guys from this offensive line out of the five that are capable of blocking. Along with that, you had guys on the outside like Armstrong that is squeezing the line of scrimmage, okay? You also have a D-Law that's squeezing the line of scrimmage, and then you have Mr. Curse that is also going to come down here and restrict things. So by having this vertical presence by Neville Gallimore, he's getting vertical. You're constricting the edges. So now you're allowing Saquon Barkley to go absolutely nowhere. Let's see it play out. Boom. You guys see it right there. Okay. Neville Gallimore does a great job. He's getting that vertical pressure. Now you're going to start squeezing from the outside. You're giving him nowhere to go. That's restricting his running lanes. And again, not allowing him to even get a going start. Now let's look at it from a different angle right here. Okay, again, attention straight to Gallimore. What's he going to do? He's going to get vertical. He's going to create some havoc in here, forcing these offensive linemen to both get their hands on him. Okay, and now all of a sudden you're restricting the holes by allowing D-Law to do what? Squeeze. He's crossing the face here. You're going to have Curse that's going to come up to the ball. You have Armstrong that's keeping an eye on the zone read. These guys are getting up to the ball level, and then they're squeezing down, taking care of the responsibilities to ensure that Danny Dimes doesn't get outside of them on a zone read. That's how you shut him down, Saquon Barkley, that is, in the backfield. Take away his ability to get vertical, take away his ability to get outside of you, constrict that hole, and let your boys come and rally to the ball.
For a team that really struggled last year in terms of stopping the run, Saquon Barkley was bottled up by the Dallas defense last year, and a lot of it was due to play like that from Neville Gallimore. Michael Parsons said it that having Jonathan Hankins for a full season, Mozzie Smith for an entire rookie season is going to give him 3 more sacks. That's how, because he stays at the line of scrimmage and he continues pushing the ball forward. When we come back, though, let's talk about more success for Mike McCarthy. Can the Cowboys get off to a better start than they ever have underneath their head coach? We'll talk about how they can do that next.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back here from the Star in Frisco, Special Edition wrapping up in this Week 1 episode with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. It's time to give keys to the game. Isaiah, I'll let you start things off.
Well, with the coach Mike McCarthy, one thing that he wants to do is control the time of possession. So I'm looking forward to seeing him go out there and executing on that. Control the time of possession, 35 minutes to 25.
Yeah, for me, I'm going with Daniel Jones on this one. I need this defense to turn Danny Dimes back into Danny Nichols out there. We got to make sure we turn him back into that walking turnover out there, and I believe that front seven can do so.
Stop Saquon Barkley at all costs. This is the closest thing I've seen to Barry Sanders in a long time.
All right.
Stop Barkley.
What's your prediction real quick before we wrap things up?
We get this by 1.
Cowboys by 1.
Yeah,
there you go. Nate Newton special here on Special Edition. It's like we never left. For Isaiah, Barry, Nate, and our entire crew, I'll see you next week with more Special Edition.